Right. All right, here we are, my friends. We have the Sicha of the Rebbe, which was said in 1951, and in other words, the year that the Rebbe assumed the leadership of Chabad. And this is the first time the Rebbe is celebrating with the Hasidim, officially as the Rebbe, the holiday of Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz. The Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz, we've talked about this before, and we explained it before, the greatness of the holiday and the amazingness of the holiday, and how the previous Rebbe, he was basically in control of the whole thing, but nevertheless, he suffered terribly. And they could have at any moment even killed him. And it was just a miracle that they didn't. How the Rebbe put himself into such a situation, I don't know. But he did. So we said the story that before that they came in, they wanted to take a photograph of him. And that the Rebbe sent them away, told them not now. And then the first time they came in, they saw the Rebbe was in a talus, they got afraid and they left. The second time they came, he was in his cell. They could have come in and shot him. Nobody would even know. The second time he came in, he was still in his talus, but his face wasn't covered. And he motioned for them to go away. And the third time he came in, he was finished praying. And he said, "What's with you fellas? It's Shabbos today. I don't take pictures on Shabbos." And they left. So it shows us somehow or other that the Rebbe was really in control. The whole thing is totally not understandable. He said that one time he got a punch. They punched him, and that he felt it years afterwards in his chin. Now the Rebbe was not. He was like the previous Rebbe. He was like 47 years old when this happened, so he wasn't exactly an old man, But on the other hand, he was certainly not a sports fan or something like that. He didn't. He wasn't a person that could take all of this physical punishment. He wasn't practicing for it, but nevertheless he did, amazingly enough. And not only did he take but it had absolutely no effect on him psychologically. He would no fear. Absolutely no, not even fear, even consideration. Didn't even consider them. And somehow or other, this is what did. Okay, so the Rebbe, when he got out. The previous Rebbe, when he got out, as he wrote this letter, I just want to say something very short. Now Chabad, we're celebrating the finishing of the Rambam. The Rebbe said we should read the Rambam, the Maimonides. It's 14 huge books that covers every single aspect of Judaism. And in the end, the culmination is the Moshiach, and how it's necessary to believe in Moshiach, and it's essential to believe in Moshiach. And a person that doesn't believe in Moshiach coming and wait for his arrival, he denies the whole entire Torah, and etc. The Rebbe started this thing. Amazingly, nobody did it before because there was Daf Yomi. People learned the Talmud Yerushalmi and Talmud Bavli and finished it. And there's people that even learn Kitzur Shulchan Aruch every day, and they learn Mishnah Brura every day. They have a portion to the Rambam. It seems to be pretty, obvious they should, but the Rebbe didn't do it. No one did it until the Rebbe came along. Okay, so if you ask me, the reason it happened, the reason the Rebbe wanted, is because, first of all, to stress the necessity of Mashiach. Here, the Rambam, the Maimonides, was a man that knew the whole entire Torah. It says that since Moses until him, which from Moses until him passed 2,000 something, 800 years, from Moses until Moses, there was nobody like Moses Maimonides. He knew the whole Torah, knew everything, just incredible. And it has all the laws of this. So you see, this person is a very serious person, the Maimonides, and he really knows what he's talking about. And finally, in the end, he comes to the end. But there's people who disagree. There's different disagreeing opinions. Everybody takes what he says seriously. But there's some people say we don't hold like that. We hold we interpret the more a little bit different. Okay, there's one thing in the Maimonides that nobody disagrees with. Nobody disagrees with. No one. The last generations, there were people that said that. Anyway, nobody disagrees, and that is what he says about Moshiach. That absolutely nobody. What a Moshiach has to do, he has to be a person who's great in Torah and the commandments, force everyone to learn Torah, force all the Jews, convince them to do the commandments, strengthen Judaism everywhere, fight against any of the forces that oppose Judaism, right? We're talking about fighting means intellectually, to learn, to teach, to spread out Judaism. Okay, so basically, and it's necessary. You have to believe, and you have to wait for Mashiach. What does it mean? Mashiach, the point of the Rambam is Mashiach is a human being. And the Rambam gives clear definitions of who this human being is going to be. Clear definition. The Rambam is not just to leave the idea of Mashiach in the air. Mashiach is just as real as keeping Shabbos and putting on tefillin. In a way, even more so, because Mashiach is going to bring all the Jews to put on tefillin and keep Shabbos. Oh, to define who Mashiach. If you look and you see the Rambam, you learn the Rambam, you see clearly that the previous Rebbe had all of the qualifications of Mashiach. And the Rebbe Shlita has all of the qualifications of Mashiach. The Rebbe has just filled the place of the previous Rebbe. If you ask me, that's the whole idea why the Rebbe wanted us to learn the Rambam, to bring it. It's not the Rebbe's ideas, it's the Rambam's ideas, it's the Rambam's ideas, and Maimonides. It's not his ideas, it's God's ideas. And to let us know that the Mashiach is a human being, and we can point our finger at who that human being is. And that human being is the Rebbe. It's just very so obvious and al pi halacha and simple. It should be driving everybody crazy that here it is, Mashiach is here. And one of the things that Mashiach is, that what disqualifies him from being Mashiach, if he did not succeed, he had a plan that didn't succeed, which that you certainly can't say about the Rebbe, or if he was killed, which is probably going on in Bar Kokhba. The Rebbe certainly was not killed. Okay, killed by the high court. Okay, so that's the idea of Mashiach. It should be making us crazy. So now the Rebbe is assuming the leadership of Chabad. He is taking over the seat of the previous Rebbe, who was the Mashiach of his generation. And the Rebbe said it many times, and the Rebbe didn't have to say it many times. The Rambam says it. And so here we're listening to the words of the Mashiach. Okay. So what's the idea? So Mashiach comes. So big deal if he's the Mashiach. What do we care if he's the Mashiach? Let him be the Mashiach. Mashiach is he's a king. He forces everyone to do more than what they want. And that's what we're going to learn over here. Let's go. When the previous Rebbe got out of prison, Chagagula, the Rebbe says, previous Rebbe wrote, Lo oti bilvad ga'ala kodesh baruch hu b'yud beis Tammuz. Not just me did God release from prison on the 12th of Tammuz. Ki im gam et kol mechovevei Toratenu. That also those people who love the Torah or Shomer Mitzvahs, or the people that maybe they don't learn the Torah so much, but they do the commandments. I freed all of the people. It's freedom for all the people who learn the Torah and do the commandments. You have to know that nothing can stop Torah, not even the communists can stop Torah or doing the commandments. And I'm not finished, says the previous Rebbe, Gam et asher b'shem Yisrael yikonu. Even just people who have nothing to do with the Torah, at least that's what they think, nothing to do with the commandments, they're just called Jews. And it doesn't say that they call themselves Jews. Yikono, other people call them Jews. Hey, you dirty Jew. Hey, Jew. Right? All of a sudden, the person wakes up. He's a Jew. Kiv and Shaloti Bilavad, since the Rebbe is saying, not just I was freed from the prison, from communist prison. Ki'im et kol asher b'shem Yisrael, that even the Jews that just somewhere deep down, they know they're Jews and they don't even know how important it is to them until somebody calls them a dirty Jew or something happens. Su kazeh sha'kol shayachim alav. This is that every Jew is in this category. I think we said enough stories about people that were totally anti-religious. The famous one was, I read Trotsky. Trotsky was right. He was born, what was he, Bornstein or something, and he was a totally anti-religious Jew. And he said about himself, I think it was an interview, and he said that I have to say that I'm a totally atheistic Jew. He said, he was a Jew. What is it? He should have said, I'm no religion at all. I don't believe in it. No such thing as religion. Says even a person like that, Harikol Elo Shayachim Elo Rebbe, anyone that's connected to the Rebbe, Divas halten sich in them Klimika. Those are people that hold on to the Klimika. I think that means the 1 second. Yeah. Klimika. I think it means the doorknob of the Rebbe, but I'm not sure. Anyway, any aspect of the Rebbe whatsoever, you have to know that every Jew has to know that there's nothing, don't be afraid of the concealment and the anti-Semitism and the ignorance and all the confusion there is in the world. Things that seem to make Judaism impossible, don't pay any attention to them. Don't even pay any attention to those people who are anti-Jewish Jews. The Rebbe said it before, that because the Rebbe was holy, and this is also talking about the ideas of Chassidut, so the ones that imprisoned the Rebbe and the ones that beat him also, and the ones that really wanted to kill him were all Jews. They were all Jews. The most fervent of the communists and sometimes the most bloodthirsty were the Jews. And there was a special Jewish sector called the Yevtsektia, and that they made it their goal in life to destroy Judaism. And they set their sights on the Rebbe, and they really wanted to do. He says, these people that were so against them, the Rebbe, he cursed them. He said, Yamach Shemon, he cursed them. I mean, these were really bad, bad news. Who knows how many people they actually shot, they actually killed. So he says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of anything, not even of these Jews. To be in the hands of Jews, of what do you call it, evil Jews, the destructive Jews, in a way, is the worst of all. And the worst of all, in some ways, because it's like Joseph and his brothers, to be in their hands. Okay, anyway, he says, don't be afraid of anybody, not even your fellow Jews. You see, King David, he wrote the book of Psalms, right? Half of the book of Psalms, I never really counted, is about David pleading to God, save me from my enemies. Please, God, help me, save me from them. Who are David's enemies? They were super religious Jews that they knew all of the Torah. And there was one point in David's life when Absalom, his son, convinced all of the Jewish people to go against King David. King David only had like 500 men with him. And so sometimes when Jews are against you, they can really, do a good job. Terrible. Says the Rebbe, don't worry. Don't pay any attention to them. Because, said the Rebbe, I went through it. The ones who put me in jail were Jews. They were murderous Jews. Murderers, simply murderers. Evil people. They did anything to destroy God just because a person is religious. That's why they hated it. Didn't do it. There was one or two of them. There was one of them, in fact, that the Rebbe had given him a big loan to put him on his feet that he could buy. The Rebbe said, I recognized him. Im rak lo yisimu lev. Just don't pay any attention to all this concealment and all these the delays, things that delay you and prevent you. V'yasa tenuas bitol emayad, like the Rebbe did with the photographers. He made a hand, mivet a machtan mitten hand, a sign with his hand, right? Hey, get away. Mitoch bitol atzmi v'tokav atzmi azay yidbatlu mimela kol olamas v'storim. Then all the things that try to prevent you from Judaism will go away. Lamayla miderech hatava, totally above nature. Kashem she'agula shel Rebbe hayata, just like the redemption of the Rebbe was totally above nature. I mean, I'm sure that none of us are ever going to be in that situation that the Rebbe was in, and the Rebbe got out, and so will we. You can say, one second, the Rebbe was a holy man. What about me? So he said, we have the blessing of the Rebbe. Yeterim Yizu, even more. Kafisha Rebbe Messiah B'Maimer, like the Rebbe said. Not only that, the Rebbe broke through the Iron Curtain. The Rebbe broke through. So the troubles that we have now are not going to be as great as what he had before. For one thing is communism is dead now. If Judaism is flourishing in Russia. Chabad House is Shalamayla Teva, it's totally above nature, but Teva Atzmo. Kashem Shashichrom Yamaiso Yabateva. As then Yecholim Lamalei Ulahashlim at the Shlichos Shahutla Aleinu Ba'olam Mazeh Gashmi Hachumri Lamata Mesor Tafachim. Then we can do, as soon as we don't pay any attention to any of the things that interfere with us, then we can have success, incredible success. And there's some people that say, I can't, I'm sick, I'm this. No, there's somebody in the bed next to you, and say something to the doctor. So you can say to him, maybe you're not as sick as you think. Maybe you can get out in the street, have somebody wheel you out with a wheelchair, and ask people, are you Jewish? Would you like to put on tefillin? Like we said before, that our attitude and our approach to everything in the world has to be in a way of hishtavut. Everything is equal. To know whether it's a good thing that we see that it's good, or whether it, God forbid, is the opposite, nevertheless, we should say it all comes from God. And whatever God does is for the good. Remember, we learned that last week in about Nachum Ish Gamzu. Remember that by saying this is for good, it transformed everything to good. Then we can actually see the good. Like it's explained in the Tanya, and Oavav, it says Hashemesh B'Gvurasa. That even the things that were in the way, first of all, of Chasidim Mechusam, they were, God's kindness was totally concealed, but it was there. When we believe that it still is, it's God's kindness, then it can come and a good that is revealed. According to what the previous Rebbe said in his letter that he wrote after Yud Beis Tammuz, Lo otib lovad, not only I was released from prison, I was released from my troubles. Kodesh Baruch Hu b'Yud Beis Tammuz. Ki im gam et kol, but all of the Jews, kol asugim shem meforet b'michtavo, all the different types of Jews which he enumerates in his letter, that from the highest of the highs, the people who love the Torah, to the Jews that the only connection they have is just some people call them Jews. So it's moving. By each and every one, it must be that every person has this freedom from all troubles in spiritual. Spiritually, it's already been done. We just have to bring it into our day-to-day life. Inyan is like this. Geula. What does it mean, Geula? Geula is, I don't know if there's a translation in English. Geula means redemption, freedom. What do they call it? Other word, Geula. Redemption, freedom, release. Release, they call it. Geula. We talked about this a lot of times before. Maybe freedom is the best word. The word Geula means that anything that prevents us from revealing our true potential is removed, and our true potential can be revealed. That's what it means, redemption, freedom. And we already have inside of us tremendous, tremendous powers of good. Every single human being. The potential of every human being is so amazing. Even the human beings that they think, everybody tells them you've got an IQ of 0 and that you're worthless and that you're this. Every human being has tremendous potential for good. Good. Not every human being is going to invent the light bulb or something like that. Good. There's 9 billion people in the world. How many billion people? There should be 10 times as many people in the world. The more people in the world, the more good there'll be in the world. The more good there is in the world. You can say, one second, but there are too many people that they get in each other's ways. There won't be enough air. There won't be enough this. Those are negative thoughts, and it's also a big lie. Because as soon as people do good, is then the spirituality, when it's brought into physical, it changes the physical. That means going out from exile, going out from being imprisoned. Namely, going out from all of the negative limitations that were preventing you from being who you really are. Right? You look in the world, how stupid the world is now, how terrible it is, right? What do they think now is, be yourself. What does it mean, be yourself? You're on the stage, everybody's clapping their hands for you, sing a song. You won the lottery, $1 million. You become the president of the United States. You won, you made it to the top of the world. There you are. That's really the top of the world. That's really the top of the world. How many people, they have the money and they're miserable. They do these things, they're not happy whatsoever, right? Everybody's standing on the stage. A month from now, somebody else is going to be standing on the stage. a person that does one good thing, that good thing is eternal. A person that has children, the children, they have children after them. You did a good thing, you brought a human being into the world. Gula means that you reveal the good things in yourself and you define what is bad and get rid of it. Right? All these things that everybody considers to be, the greatest, thinking the goal of life is success, is popularity, that you have to get rid of that idea. It's a good thing to be successful, sure, but that's the goal of life? No way. The goal of life is to be yourself, to be honest, to be truthful, to be who you are, not to compare yourself with other people, to learn from everybody, to be inspired by others, but not to compare yourself with everybody. Right? Unless it's a positive way. It says he's doing something because, right, I'm so lazy, that's why I'm not doing anything. It's true, everybody has ups and downs, and it's easy to compare yourself with others. And if you're on the top, so then you feel good, but nevertheless, a person has to go out from a Mitzarim Gavulim Shel Atzmo, going out of the limitations of himself. If you want to go out of any limitations in the physical world, then strange things that have nothing to do with you, then the advice is you have to go out from your own personal attitude in the world, from the Eingen and Mitzarim Gavulim, from your own limiting, how do you say, the priorities in the world. So automatically, then things which are outside of you won't have such an influence of what somebody says to you. Right? Somebody says, "Oh, you're ugly." Somebody, "You're stupid." It's going to put you into depression. They have this thing, cyberbullying, right? Somebody writes to some girl or somebody, "You're ugly. You're stupid." He goes and jumps off a bridge. They said, "All of my friends say that I'm ugly. I'm not worthless." What do you care what your friends say? They're not your friends. What do you care what they say? Right? It makes a difference. If your friends said you have a nose like an elephant, right? You don't have a nose like an elephant. So why'd you pay attention if people say that you're stupid and you're ugly? Right? They're stupid and they're ugly if they say a thing like that. So therefore, but if a person changes his attitude inside, then the outside world won't have such a bad effect. It's a known thing, right? You go for a job interview. If you're already thinking negatively, they're not going to think you. If you're thinking positively, you have more of a chance. The way you think, just naturally, psychologically, but here the Rebbe is saying even spiritually, that if you have a good attitude, if you think good, then they have a much greater chance of being good. And sometimes good is not what you think is good. Yitzia v'nisia mimakomo hakodem l'makom chadash, going from one place to a totally new place. And this is the necessity of moving. Called gam kasher nimsa b'mamad or matzav, even when a person is in a good situation. And not only that it seems that he's in a good situation, but he really is in a good situation. He has a big Chabad house, and he's making a lot of Baal Tshuvas, and he's learning Torah, and he's teaching. That's wonderful. Nevertheless, ein lo listapek, you should never be satisfied with where you are. Ulishe'er ba'amud ba'oto makom, and remain in that same place. You have to go out from that place and go to a new place. Therefore, Nikra called Yehudi. Therefore, every Jew is called Mahalech. Every Jew is called a walker, a mover. This comes from the prophecy. Where is it? Doesn't say where it is, but the prophecy says that this is, I think, in the prophecy of Zechariah. I'm not so good at Tanakh. That the angels are called standing. That's why in Shemon Esrei we stand in one place. We're like the angels. But a Jew is called Mahalech, moving, and we're supposed to make the whole world move. What does it move? It means that you don't stay in the same place. You're always raising yourself up, refining yourself. From day to day, from hour to hour, you have to go constantly elevating higher and higher, like the commandment of the Torah, Ma'alim B'Kodesh. U'B'Pratius Yosir, in more detail. Amida, so going out of your limitations just doesn't mean just going out of prison, then now you have a nice house and this, right? It means that you go out of your spiritual limitations. You learned one page of Torah today, tomorrow learn a page in a word. You learned the whole Shas yesterday, so learn with that one a little more Rambam, a little more Rashi, a little more Tosfos, deepen your mind into it a little bit. Right? Learn another aspect of the Torah, the Kabbalah. We'll see. Hamida b'makom echad, if a person stays in one place, this causes that a person's service becomes how do you say, by rote, regilut. It becomes a custom. Custom, you become accustomed to it. Hergel nasa teva. And then it becomes sort of natural. And what does it mean? B'meila chaser avoda b'inyan tainug. So it's good, it's good you put on tefillin every day. It's a natural thing to you to do what's right. The problem is that it can, if it's not new, then there's no pleasure. If a person gets pleasure from the same thing all the time, it's not pleasure anymore. Like these people, whatever, you do something, the same thing every day, you don't enjoy it anymore. And even more, shemitzada regulus, that when a person gets accustomed to something, he's not really serving God. He's not serving means going against your nature, changing your nature, improving your nature. Like it says in the Tanya, chiluk shebein oved elokim, like it says a person who serves God and a person that does not, the 15th chapter of Tanya, this is a law of a person that does not serve God, is that a person that's serving God, he's changing himself. He learns the Torah portion, whatever he's learning, he learns it, he's used to learning it once, so he learns twice. He's used to learning twice, so he changes his nature, he learns 3 times. The first person finally gets to the point he's learning 100 times. No, who learns 100 times? 100 times, that's it. Who gets more? Says, you want to serve God, he learns it 101 times. Below Avdu, a person that's called not serving God, he just learns it like what he's got used to. He's gotten used to learning it 100 times, going over the material 100 times. Mishum should be a man, because in those days, the custom was to learn everything 100 times. In those days, back then, they didn't have it written down. So they had to be very sure, and they had to remember everything. And not only that, they wanted to ingrain the Torah in their soul. So everyone learned, it was very important to them. So they learned 100 times. Every idea, they learned 100 times. And this person learns 101 times, because he's going against his nature. Because he's learning in a way that he's become accustomed to and used to, even when he's doing really good things, he accustoms himself to do good things, of lalo amal, but he's not working at it. That's called not serving God. Only when a person makes an effort and he makes a war to change his nature, then he's called a servant of God. Not only that, Elashagam, a person who's called a servant of God, and he already served God, he's called a servant of God. He's defeated his Yetzer Hora. Right? Oh, that's pretty good, huh? So if you defeat your Yetzer Hora, what do? You do Torah, you do the command, you do good things all the time. But since this person is total tzaddik and he doesn't have to work at all, as Eino Nikra is not called a servant of God. But still he's called a person who's not serving God. Here's the Rebbe made a new thing. This is the story what the previous Rebbe told about the Tzemach Tzedek, that once a young man came into the Tzemach Tzedek for Yechidus. Tzemach Tzedek was the 3rd Rebbe of Chabad. And he complained that he says he doesn't enjoy learning Torah. He doesn't enjoy it. He learns Torah, but he doesn't enjoy it. Maybe he's not so successful, who knows? But he doesn't enjoy it. Bomo, he said, and the Rebbe said back to him, Ma, said, what can I do? No, I'm sorry. This young man said to the Rebbe, what can I do? I don't enjoy learning Torah at all. The Rebbe said back to him, Patach, fool. What am I supposed to do? I've got the problem. I do enjoy learning. Since learning Torah, Tzorech Liot has to be in a way of making a war, to do more than what you want. As says the Rebbe, I have no war. I have no battle. So it shows even a person like the Tzemach Tzedek has to make a battle in order to increase what he's doing. So you put on tefillin, buy a better pair of tefillin. You're putting on tefillin, think about what you're doing before you put on the tefillin. Consider, when you're learning Torah, learn a little bit more. Always try to change yourself for the better. Like I said, they asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe, are you happy? The Rebbe said, I'm happy, but I'm not satisfied. They came from BBC or something. Cave, in the sense that there's a commandment to go and to continue, and a person has to always be elevating in holiness. Hari im eno holecha mosif ma'ala b'kodesh. If a person does not add on constantly and improve, Oved hu al kiyom ratzona shel mos, he has to work hard at doing the will of God and think about it a little bit more deeply, come on, Misha, over chas v'shalom al kiyum ratzona shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'nogea l'mitzvah min haTorah. It's as though he's doing a transgression because God commands you that you have to always elevate. You always have to try to do more and be more genuine and to be more enthusiastic. It's true that there are different levels in the severity of being lazy. There's an issur from the Torah, an issur of the Rabbanan. Sometimes there's little details in the rabbinical laws. It's just like to do like a hidur mitzvah, an extra. But nevertheless, true, you're already learning Torah, but laziness, there's laziness which is forbidden from the Torah, laziness forbidden from the rabbis, laziness, let's not call it laziness, there's a better word for it. What is it called? It's called, there's a really good word for it. Mediocrity is not the word. You get used to something. You get used to something and you do it. No, it's not mediocrity. Complacency. That's the word. Complacent. A person becomes complacent. He's doing Torah, he's doing the commandments, and he's complacent, he's happy. It says, it's good, and sometimes it's not so bad. It's just little things. It says, but here we're talking about serving God. He's the one that gives all the commandments. Everything is the will of God, and everything is equal. Whether it's the smallest, seemingly most insignificant or the biggest, most important commandment, it's the will of God. It's the will of God that a Jew should never be complacent, not even the smallest, whatever it is, custom, which a person does to be extra. That's what's called midat chasidut. He does much more than is expected of him. And here we're saying that God expects a lot. A person will always continually increase, even when it's not necessary according to his logic, even holy logic. A person should do above and beyond what even his Jewish Hasidic intellect dictates. To always do more. I mean, it's easy for me to say these things, but I would enjoy it very much if you did it. But for me to do it is a little bit different, and also for you. But if a person makes up his mind to increase constantly, as we have the blessing of the Rebbe that we can do it, and it doesn't mean you have to overdo yourself totally. You have to, right? You have to all of a sudden to become about tzaddik gomer, and then if you don't do it, you feel terrible. It means a little bit to add on, a little bit in seriousness, in genuineness, in happiness, a little less negativity about the world. Pay less attention to the negative things in the world, the things that make you angry or depressed. A little bit less attention, a little bit. Right? Even that you're 100% right, and a little less complaining, a little more the praising, a little changes the whole world. Let's just do the Yom Yom for today. Where is it? Where is the Yom Yom? What happened? What happened to the Yom Yom? Why is it concealed from me? What am I doing wrong here? I don't know. Okay, here we go. I think it's up here. There we go. Did I get it? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't see what I'm doing over here. Here we go. Here we go. I don't know what's happening over here. Why this thing is not allowing me to. Okay. Let's just do it this way. Here we go. Oh. Very good. Okay. Here's the Yom Yom. Ready? Are we recording? Yes. This is the birthday of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak, in 1880. On this day, On this day, he received the good news also. Later on in 1927, right? He was 47 years old. He received the good news that he was freed from exile after his arrest, and that he basically could go home. The problem was that the offices were closed. He didn't get the official paper until the day afterwards. From a letter of the Rebbe, it says, during these days of the 12th day and the 13th day of Tammuz, Hasidim are supposed to make a forbringen. And the forbringen is for material and spiritual good and for blessing. As our father, the Alter Rebbe, said, during this forbringen, Hasidim are to talk to one another in a spirit of brotherhood about strengthening fixed times for Torah. Strengthening fixed times for Torah. I send them my blessing that God should favor them and bless them in body and in spirit. So we make forbringen. Last night there was a very nice one in Yerushalayim and also in Kfar Chabad, and we're going to make also tonight. God bless you all. See you today, God willing, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Chumash class. Shalom uvracha. Have a good day with Moshiach now.